Okay, welcome to Summer at Delta 2020. Now, I may be a little bit rusty as we get started with this kind of introductory video to our course, Business 211. It's been a couple, 2 or 3 weeks or 4 weeks or maybe a month since I've recorded any of these, so I kind of have to get back in the swing of things. So just kind of bear with me if I forget something and stumble around a little bit, but we'll see if we can't get started. Again, Business 211, Summer Online, Delta Community College. Now, first of all, if you've had me before, you may say, you know, Professor Lane, that hair is getting a little long. Of course, you know why. I'm recording this before the haircut, hair salons, all those places are going to open. I think that's going to happen maybe next week or something. So anyway, we may have a little shorter hair as we go through some of the latter part of the videos and everything. Let me tell you a little bit about the course. First of all, I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be back with you for the summer, online with you. It's always a pleasure to do this. And I'm doing this in my normal classroom, which is room 363. So I'm just almost pretending like you're sitting out there and we're just kind of talking to each other. So I'm just pretending again that you're sitting in those chairs. Okay, Business 211 Supervision. This class is a core elective. If you're in the Business and Technology degree program, or if you're even in general studies and you have a business concentration, but let me go back to the Business and Technology degree program. You have to have 3 core electives. There are certain courses that you have to take, but then you have 3 core electives that you can take or you must take. And we provide you a list of probably 12 or 15 classes that you can choose from. Business 211 is one of those classes that you can use as a core elective. Or if you're in general studies, it's one of those classes that you can use as a business course. All right. So what's it about? Well, first of all, I've got my supervisor up here. You can tell their hair is even a little bit longer than usual as well. Okay. The supervisor is happy because they have a supervisory job. But let me tell you, Business 211 is a very specific course. It talks about a particular type of supervisor. So I'm probably going to leave Mr. and Ms. Supervisor up here as I do each one of these videos, and we're just going to kind of work around Mr. and Ms. Supervisor. I put you an organizational chart up here. Now, I left out most of the middle part. But in an organizational chart, up here at the top is the CEO. He or she who is the head person in the business. And then you have some people that may be vice presidents or things like this. So this is this would be top management right here. This is top management. Okay. Then I kind of left out middle management. This is all those middle level managers and everything. But if you remember some of the other courses, if you've had Business 210 with me or even Introduction to Business, you remember around here we talk about top, middle, or lower management, or first line management. That's down here. Okay, we're getting closer and closer now to what Business 211 is all about. Down here is where you have these first line supervisors. These are the lowest level of supervisor within an organization. Now that doesn't mean they're not extremely important. It just means in the organizational chart, they're the only ones that manage, supervise employees, non-managerial employees. Now, what makes up most of the employees of most companies? Employees, non-managerial employees. Employees that do things, that have skills, that really make or break the company by how well they perform their jobs. But they are non-managerial. But these employees have supervisors. And this supervisor, he or she, supervises so many of these regular employees. Now, if you've heard me in other classes before, you know how important I feel regular employees are. They're the backbone of a business. So these regular employees have a supervisor. They call that supervisor a first-line supervisor or manager. We'll use the term supervisor. That's that person right here. Now, I know I'm kind of beating this to death, but I want to make sure we know just what this class is about. This first-line supervisor, they answer to a supervisor in middle management, or they answer to a manager in middle management, but they manage non-managerial employees. Supervisors are the only managers that manage non-managerial employees. All the other managers at all the other levels manage other managers. Does that make sense? Okay. So Business 211 talks about how can you be an effective first-line supervisor. So Business 211 is right here. Business 211 doesn't talk about any of these other things. Business 211 talks about the first-line, first-level supervisor that is managing or supervising employees. So that's where our course is. Now, let's talk a little bit. So it's the first line supervisor. So that means that must be a pretty easy job. No. This is probably one of the most difficult, and I think maybe the most difficult in a lot of ways supervisory jobs. Why? Because first of all, they're managing folks that are not supervisors. They're managing employees. They're managing employees that are going to probably make or break the company as to how well they perform their job. And this supervisor is going to be evaluated to a large extent on how well they are able to manage their employees, and the employees can get the goals and objectives of this particular department done. Sometimes these folks don't have the proper training to be supervisors. And that's a failure of the business itself, because they should, but sometimes they don't. They kind of get thrust into a supervisory role. They may have been a really good employee, but does being a really good employee and having a really good skill make you a really good supervisor? No. It helps. It's great to have those skills, but you've got to have supervisory ability as well. And this is what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about in this course. I would say this: if you end up shining brightly as a first-line supervisor, you're going to move up. You're going to be readily identified as a mover and a shaker within the organization. And if you do well here, I think you'll do well throughout the organization. Because if you cut your teeth and you're able to do a good job here with employees, you're going to learn some valuable skills that's going to really carry you as you go up through the chain of command, so to speak. So anyway, that's what this course is all about. This one person right here, the whole book. Okay. I normally teach this course kind of like a seminar. When we do it face to face, we have a lot of discussion. The chapters are pretty short. It's a very practical book. The person who wrote this book, there's not a lot of theory in this book. It's just good, practical, how can you be a good first-line supervisor? So we're not going to be able to have quite that much discussion and everything, but communication is key as we go through these online classes. So I want us to be discuss, and I want you to participate as much as I can get you to do. Okay, here's how this course is going to kind of work. You're going to have the summer session lasts 4 weeks. You're going to have a week of videos, a test. A week of videos, test 2. A week of videos, test 3. A week of videos, test 4. Test 4 is going to be the final. And the final will cover the information that we've tested, that we have covered since test 3, but it'll also go back and be comprehensive. And I'll review and help you with that. So it's really 4 weeks, 4 tests. And what you'll be doing is you'll be reviewing those, watching those videos. I'm almost positive, I think it's test number 1 is chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4. So what we'll be doing first week, you'll be looking at test 1, test 2, test 3, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4. And this will be the week of June the 1st. And then at the end of that week, you'll take test number 1. Second week, chapters 5, chapter 6, chapter 7, chapter 8, take a test. All right. Now, as I go through these videos, if you've had me before, and sometimes people are brand new to me in Business 211, sometimes taking as a core elective, you may have had me several other times. But let me review a couple of things here. Knows and be familiar with. My tests are true, false, multiple choice, matching, fill in the blank. Also, they are definitions, discuss, list, explain. So some parts of the test are where you just simply answer yes or no, true, false, A, B, C, D. But some of the tests are definitions, or discussions, or listings, or explain. Okay. Those things that are most important are the things that I do either a definition, an explain, a discussion, or something like that with. Those are things that I want you to know in that chapter when I'm doing the video. So as I go through, say, chapter number 1, as I'm going through and we're talking about chapter number 1, I'm going to say, this is something you need to know. I'll jump ahead and tell you chapter 1 talks a lot about leadership. So I'm going to tell you right as we start chapter 1, hey, you need to know the definition of leadership. Okay. Now there are other things that I think that are important, but they're not that important. There are things that I want you to be familiar with. You don't have to be able to write a definition or discuss them or explain them, but I want you to be able to answer a true, false question about it, or multiple choice, or matching, or fill in the blank. And so those are things I want you to be familiar with. So as I go through a chapter, I may say, I'd like for you to be familiar with so-and-so. So I'm going to review the chapter for you as I go through the chapter. So when you watch the video, if you've got your pencil and paper and you're paying attention to the video, then you can jot down, hey, that's a no item. That's a be familiar with item. That's a be familiar with item. And that can help you study for test 1, test 2, test 3, test 4, which is the final. Okay. Also, you're going to have some beautifully prepared chapter notes. Now, some of you are laughing as you heard me say that because you've had me before. My chapter notes are not beautifully prepared. The way my chapter notes came about was I made chapter notes for myself. I wrote them in cursive. They're not very pretty, but they were just for me. They were the notes that I used so that when I stood up and we were talking about a particular chapter, I could refer to my notes. They were my lecture notes, so to speak. And and the notes helped me also to get people involved and that sort of thing. And it's been years ago now. And you've heard this story probably if you've had me before. Again, I had a student ask me, can we have a copy of your notes? And my initial reaction was, well, no, they're mine. But then I thought, why not? What do I want you to do? I want you to learn this material. I want you to learn how to be a good first-line supervisor. I want you to pass Business 211. I want you to get a business and technology higher education degree. I want you to be successful in the business world. Okay, if those notes can help that much in accomplishing that, why don't we let you have them? So I hand out, and you'll find before the videos, you'll find that also you have the syllabus or the contract document there for you for the class. You'll also have my study notes. And my study notes will be and we call it Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, Unit 4. Unit 1 is the first week, Unit 2 the second week, that sort of thing. So you'll have my Unit 1 study notes as we go through that first week. So the first week, You've got study notes, not pretty. And by the way, study notes can't be complete. I can't put everything in study notes that's in the chapter, but I try to do the best that I can in giving you good, usable, although not particularly good looking study notes. Okay, so I'll have those, and of course you'll have your knows and be familiar with that as we go through the video. Those two things together should help you a good bit. Something else that I think will help you as well is the text. Am I going to make you buy the text? No. But in the contract document, and I'm going to refer to it as contract document from now on. Some people can refer to them as syllabuses. I consider them to be a contract document because we have a contract. You've given Delta Community College money, and I'm giving you, hopefully, a good taste of supervision. So we have kind of a contract between the two of us. So I have in the contract document the information on this text. But effective supervision, this is the name of the text, and I have the author's name, and I think the ISBN, I'm not sure, 013-03-15-834. I would encourage you, you can tell, I'm getting ready to put this in a loose leaf binder. This thing is about torn up. I've used it for a good while. It's a really good text. If you want to do well in the course, really well in the course, it would help to have a text. And one of the reasons why is this author has lots and lots and lots of lists in here. And the lists are really, really, really good. But in my study notes, I may refer to, you need to be familiar with this particular list. But I can't list out every list in my study notes because I'd end up with the book. So you can reference back to the book to be very specific about those lists and things. So I would encourage you. It's not mandated. It's not a very expensive book, but I would encourage you probably to purchase this book if you'd like to do so. All right. Okay, so I think that's a lot of what we need to talk about as far as kind of an introduction to the class. We know what the course is. We know we're zeroing in on that first line supervisor. In your contract document, it'll tell you the things that have to be done. And I guess I could go ahead and mention, outside of watching the videos and taking tests, you have basically two other things that you have to do. One of those things is write a research paper on something to do with supervision. Now that research paper has to be 3 pages long, and you have to have at least 3 sources, not including the book. You can use the book if you want to as a source, you don't have to. But you've got to have 3 sources outside of that. So you're going to find as we go through the course, you're going to come up with something. Leadership, that's something I'm pretty well interested in. Sexual harassment, maybe I'm interested in that. The disciplinary process. I mean, if you went online and Googled leadership and supervision, you'd probably come up with a gazillion things. I want you to find something that you're particularly interested in. Find 3 pieces of research or 3 articles about that. Read those things and then summarize what you found in a 3-page research paper. 3 pages, 3 separate sources, and I want you to cite the sources at the end of your research paper. Now, in your contract document, it gives you further instructions about this, but that's really all there is to it. Find a topic that's appropriate for supervision. Go out and research at least 3 sources. Write up your research paper. Cite the sources for me, and that you'll upload that and turn that in right at the end of the semester. Now, timelines and everything, of course, are also on your contract document. But what we'll do, just to kind of jump ahead, what we'll do is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we're going to be covering chapters like 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're going to have the time period to take test number 1. Then I'm going to close test number 1, and then the next week, 5, 6, 7, 8, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the way I'm thinking of it, Friday, Saturday, Sunday to take the test. Now you can jump ahead, but I probably won't make the test available until Thursday night or Friday of each week. Okay. The other thing that you have to do, when I say jump ahead, you may want to sit down and watch all 4 of the videos at one time. You may sit down on Monday and watch all 4 of the videos. So, hey, I've watched them. I'm just about ready to take that test. Well, the test may not be available to you until probably Thursday night or Friday. I'll open it up for those 3-day periods. Okay, the other thing you have to do is in this class, our author provides some case studies or on-the-job scenarios. Let me go back. I know you certainly cannot see this to the point of reading it or anything like this, but right here you'll see something that says on-the-job scenario. And here's a scenario. Here's a particular situation that they talk about, and then they have 2 questions over here to answer about that situation. So what I want you to do is I want you to read an on-the-job scenario. I want you to read that scenario, and I want you to answer those questions and then submit those answers to me. Now, with study guide or chapter study notes for Unit 1, at the end of those study notes, I've put in there copies of all the scenarios. There's about 8 different scenarios. And once we get started this semester, and I know who's going to be in the class and this sort of thing, I will assign each one of you 1 scenario. And so you will do 1 scenario. Okay? Again, that's in your contract document. You can read it, but that's generally the idea. So 2 outside assignments. Read and complete an on-the-job scenario. Complete a 3-page, 3-source research paper. Take 4 tests, test number 4 being the final. All right, so that's kind of how we outline the chapter, outline the course, and then when you go into Canvas, you're going to see the syllabus, you're going to see the chapter notes, you're going to see this introductory video, and then videos for each chapter, and we'll go through and complete business to 11. Let me tell you this, check for announcements. The key, or one of the keys to being successful, is a good key. Watching the video is a good key. But I'm going to be putting out announcements from time to time. Every day I would check announcements. I know announcements go to you, but go in and check what's going on in there to make sure that you know just where you are, you're following the timelines and that sort of thing. All right. What else as far as an introductory sort of thing? I think that covers most of the things that I needed to talk about here. Now, if you've taken summer courses before, you're an old hand. If you've taken summer courses online before, you're an expert. But if you haven't, summer courses move fast. Especially the idea with online, the opportunity to procrastinate is there. And so you've got to stay on task. It's my intentions to open up the test Thursday night, probably Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and close the test. But I didn't get a chance to take it those days. Are you going to reopen it? Probably not. You've got to stay on task. Just think, 4 chapters test, 4 chapters test. Do that 4 times. The 4th test is the final, and you're done. So it moves very, very quickly. So make sure that you set aside time to do this thing each day. All right. I've already said this, but I'll say it to you again. I'm glad to have you in class, even though it's not a face-to-face, and I'm a face-to-facer, but online has been interesting for me as we've been doing this, and these videos have been interesting for me. I want you to be successful. And whatever you do, I want you to be successful. I want you to be successful again in this class. I want you to be successful at Delta. I want you to be successful in your career. I just want you to be successful as a person. That's my desire for you. I'm doing this not because I have to. As you can tell, I'm getting a little older, but I'm doing it because I love doing it. I love students. I love seeing students progress. I love seeing students graduate and this sort of thing. I want you, like I mentioned, this is fast. I want you to start strong. I want you to finish strong. I want you to get this course done. I want you to understand what a supervisor does. I want you to understand how important they are and how that fits into the whole business scheme. Because think about it. You may well find that your first job after you've finished your degree here or whatever degrees you decide to get, your first job might be a management position. You may be doing, and in all likelihood, you will be at one point doing this right here. So this class is really going to help you prepare for that. Okay, to help Professor Pierce, a lot of you know, he's the division chair for business for all of our campuses and all of business. He's also my boss. Don't tell him I said so. He's really a great guy. A tremendous person to work for and to work with. He's also my executive producer of my videos. If you could see, I've got lights all around me here. These spotlight type lights. I've got this really nice camera that I'm working with. All of this belongs to Professor Pierce, and he set this up and he has turned room 363 into a recording studio. So he is my executive producer. One of the things that he's asked me to do is if I make a loud noise or something like that, that can clue him that I have finished a particular video. And then he knows where to break and put that into Canvas, this being the introductory video. So I'm going to make a loud noise. I'm going to do a clapping of the hands. That'll be the end of this introductory video. And then each time I finish a chapter, I'll do the same thing. So welcome to Business 211. Glad to have you with me. Look forward to sharing with you this summer. Getting ready to end the introductory video right now. Loud clap. See you back in chapter 1.